All right, now let's go ahead and get this started. And again, welcome back to the Conscious Coin Podcast, again, where we don't just talk about money, we talk about the mastery of the mindset that will help you can build and sustain your money. Because again, financial sustainability isn't just about saving dollars, it's about saving direction. Again, I'm your financial BFF, T Jones. And before I begin, I want to tell you a little bit about myself because I don't want nobody thinking that I'm talking from a position of hierarchy. I once lived in poverty. My early childhood, I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. I grew up in the Melpomene projects. My family was on financial assistance. I know what poverty is. My entire 20s, I lived paycheck to paycheck. It was through God's grace that I met somebody in my early 30s that said, "Hey, do you enjoy the way that you're living?" And I was like, not really, not financially. Well, what are you doing? And they just asked me that. It was no guru or nothing like that, but they set me on my path. And over the years, I've taken the time to correct my financial mistakes, learn financial wisdom from different people and just, different mentors and stuff like that. So I got to the point where I started seeing my actions, and it didn't happen overnight, but it happened. And when I finally got to a point where I had financial comfort, it was worth it. So I'm sharing with you guys some of my personal traps that I fell into, some of the things that I experienced, some of the things I've learned. I'm not just talking. I didn't just read a book and say I know this now. I've lived this. I've walked this path before you. Some of you who are listening to me, I've walked this path with you. And in knowing this, you will understand where I'm coming from. So what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about wealth grows where discipline lives. And today, we're going to talk about financial sustainability that starts with personal accountability. So let me be real with you. We live in a time where people are chasing the bag, but they're losing their balance. They're scrolling for inspiration, but not taking information and turning it into transformation. Every day, I see people walking around with incredible potential. They don't have no plan. They're working harder than ever, but not getting closer to financial freedom. And why is that? Because hustle without clarity leads to burnout, not breakthrough. And this is why this conversation and this podcast matters. Because if you don't control your money will control you. Financial sustainability is not just a financial goal, it's a life strategy. It's the foundation of peace, confidence, and your legacy. See, when your finances are stable, your decision making is stronger. When your finances are structured, your spirit is freer. And when your money is working for you, your energy is finally free to work on what matters most for you. So before we go any further, I want you to make a decision right now. Tell yourself to stop surviving and start structuring, to stop running from the truth and start measuring it. Because clarity beats chaos every time. And this episode is not about chasing money, it's about building meaning. It's about taking control of your financial narrative and designing a life and a lifestyle that aligns with your values, your goals, and your future. So if you're tired of the financial roller coaster, if you're ready to stop wondering where your money went and start telling your money where to go, this podcast is the right place for you. Because today we're going to dive into the why behind financial sustainability, not as a theory, but as a discipline. And what we're going to do, I want you to understand something. Let me back up. This is more than a podcast. This is a declaration that you in your life deserve order. You in your life deserve peace. You deserve to master your money and not be mastered by it. So let's get started. So I'm going to say something that's going to be reoccurring throughout the entire conversation. Stop chasing money. Money is a result. You don't have to chase it. If you do what you're supposed to do, it's going to show up. And that's why I say financial sustainability isn't just about money. It's about order versus chaos. It's about responsibility, discipline, and the alignment of your actions with the future you claim to value. See, when you manage your finances sustainably, you're not simply balancing a budget. You're telling yourself, I am someone capable of structuring my life. And that in itself, you're telling yourself, and that declaration ripples into every domain of existence. Because when your finances are in chaos, your mind follows. Then all of a sudden you have anxiety, resentment, and dependency grows where structure is absent. Money in itself is a proxy for value. It represents the outcome of your discipline, your reliability, and your capacity to contribute meaningfully to others. When you squander your money and just waste your money, you're undermining your own credibility. You're shooting yourself in the foot. You're saying, I can't be trusted to manage my own resources. That means I can't be trusted to do anything for you. And that type of message, believe it or not, it eats at your confidence and your identity. Again, sustainability isn't about hoarding wealth, it's about building a stable foundation so you can act freely and responsibly. It's about ensuring that today's impulses does not sabotage tomorrow's potential. You want to build a sustainable financial life where each choice you make today honors the future version of you who must live with the consequences of those decisions and those choices. So, if you want to lead a meaningful life, you must put your financial house in order. When your finances are structured, you're less likely to panic when life delivers its inevitable chaos because it will, and you know it will. You stand on solid ground, and from that ground, you can build something higher that serves not only you, but your family and also your community. So, here's something that people don't realize: financial chaos, it doesn't start in your bank account, it starts in your mind. See, when your mind is cluttered, your finances follow. When your values are all over the place, your spending is going to mirror that all over the place. This is why I tell people all the time, do not chase money, chase structure. Because when you bring order to your finances, you bring peace to your life. Money is not a goal. Understand that. Money should never be your goal because money is a mirror. What do I mean by that? Money reflects your habits. Money reflects your priorities. And it reveals whether your life is built on impulse or intention. And this is why, again, conversations like this matter because sustainability is about direction. It's a declaration that says, I'm someone capable of structuring my own life. And when you make that declaration, when you take ownership of your finances, you stop living as a victim of your circumstances and you start becoming an architect of your future. So now we've kind of talked about the why it matters. Let's talk about how to build it. Because sustainability doesn't happen by accident, people. It's structured one disciplined decision at a time. So I want you to think about it like this. If financial sustainability is a house you want to live in, then you're going to need a blueprint to make it. And what I've come up with is what I call the 5 foundations of financial sustainability. This is going to be your blueprint to build that financial house that you want to live in. So the first foundation, which is the cornerstone of your financial house, is cash flow clarity. Before you can master your money, you have to see it clearly. Not vaguely, not I think I know what it is. I think I know what's in my bank account. You need to write it down. You need to track it and you need to be able to review it. Because what you don't track, you can't trust. And what you can't trust, you cannot build upon. So let's start right there with cash flow clarity, the foundation. So again, what is cash flow clarity? Knowing how much you have coming in and knowing how much is going out. Your income and your expenses, essentially. You have to have a crystal clear picture of the coming and goings of your money. And again, not in your head, but you have to have it written down. Oh, I can look at my bank account. No, you cannot. You have to have it written down because you have to know and you have to be able to review it regularly. You cannot manage what you don't measure. Most people that I talk to and meet don't have a money problem. They have a management problem. When you know exactly where your money is going, you can make conscious decisions that align with your goals. So how do you build it? First thing you do for 30 days, track every dollar. Use a spreadsheet, an app, write it in a notebook. It doesn't matter, but you track every dollar. And then you categorize your spending. Is it essential need? Is it non-essentials, which is, your wants? Or is it money you're putting away for your future? Then when you do that, start looking at your money and identifying the cheap, or as I call the hot 20s. That subscription that's 19.99. You're like, oh, that's just hot 20. I can manage that. Start looking at those. Do you even watch Hulu that much to justify $20 a month? How about the dining out at work? Or when you at home and you don't feel like cooking anything, you're like, I'm gonna go DoorDash something. Start looking at that. How many times a week do you do that? How much money do you spend a week doing that? And then last but not least, them impulsive purchases. Oh my God. If I can tell you about Timu and Sheen and the people I've talked to who get those boxes from that, oh yes. And we're not gonna leave out Amazon. We're not gonna leave them out because they guilty of this too. Some of y'all have so many purchases that when y'all decide to stop shopping, Amazon send y'all a letter asking if you're okay. I know some of y'all who shop like that, but you need to start looking at those things. And then what you need to do is you need to have a money meeting with yourself. You need to sit down and say, hey, let me review what my money did, where I spent it, and where I can pull the reins on some of this stuff. When you start doing things like this, you start creating clarity about your financial situation. And clarity creates control, control creates confidence. Now, the second pillar in the foundation for your financial house is liquidity. So I'm talking about the fund that lets you sleep at night. I'm talking about your emergency fund. Liquidity isn't about wealth, it's about peace of mind. Liquidity is the quiet confidence that tomorrow is covered so you can build what you want to build today without fear. I'm talking about your emergency fund in case something happens. I'm talking about your financial emergency, your financial safety net. Now, as we all know as adults, emergencies aren't if they happen, but when. And again, when you have that financial safety net, that protects you from the financial domino effect when something bad happens. And you know what that is. When you don't have the money, what you do? You put it on a credit card, or you go pawn something, or you go ask somebody, can you borrow some money? And that creates a stress with you. So, how do you build this emergency fund or this financial safety net? Well, the first thing you do, and it's real simple, save $500 to $1,000. That's your first milestone for immediate emergencies. Now, why is that important? Why am I sitting on 500 to 1,000? According to debt.com, I believe, the average household, 40% of American households cannot withstand a $500 emergency without borrowing, without pawning something, or without letting it stay or letting it continue to the next paycheck. So think about that. 2 out of 5 households can't withstand a $500 emergency. Think about that. Then after you grow that emergency account to 500 to 1,000, whatever number in between there you want to sit at, the next thing you do is you grow it to 1 month of your expenses. Now, how did I get to 1 month? Well, first, if you achieve cash flow clarity, you know how much money you have coming in, you know how much money is walking out. And that's your expenses is what's walking out. So you get 1 month, that savings account, that emergency account, you make it 1 month of your expenses. And then you build it to 3 months. And then over time, you build it to 6 months. And if you can't build it to a whole year, what's important is that you keep it separate. You do not dip into the emergency account. That's that break glass in case of emergency. You keep it separate from any of your spending accounts. You put it in a savings, you put it in a high yield account, something like that, something that you would not have immediate access to. And then just what you do is you automate small transfers on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. Don't be one of them people that say, oh, I'm gonna wait till I get my income tax and I'm just gonna put $1,000 in it right then and there. Small, consistent deposits beats lump sums every day of the week. Again, if you do the small, consistent deposits, you are building a habit of saving. And I'm going to say this again, liquidity isn't wealth. Access to cash when life happens. It's an emergency fund. We're talking about a savings buffer that you can reach without borrowing money or without selling something. The third pillar in your financial sustainability house is your credit health, aka your credit score, aka your financial reputation. I can't tell you people how important your financial reputation is, your credit score. It's how it tells the financial world without ever looking at you how you manage borrowed money. It's not just a score, it is a mirror of your consistency, your trustworthiness, and your financial rhythm. Good credit score, great credit score, strong credit score, however you want to word it, saves you money. It gives you access to lower interest rate, better loan terms, and better financial opportunities. Poor credit does the opposite. It makes everything you want to buy more expensive. And as I said before, your credit score is an image of you financial institutions see without ever seeing you. It's your reputation to banks, lenders, and those who can assist you in financial matters. So how do you build it? Now I'm gonna have a whole podcast on how to build up your credit score and everything. But quick and dirty, 5 things. Pay your bills on time. Your payment history is 35% of your credit score. And if you are looking to buy a home, they will go back 4 and 5 years and ask you why you missed a payment. Yes, they will. I've had it done to me. The second thing you want to do to build up a good credit score is keep your credit utilization low. Aim for under 30%, and if you can get it, under 10. And what your credit utilization is, just simple and put, if you have $1,000 in credit, you shouldn't be using more than $200 to $300 on your credit card. That's all it is. How much of your credit do you use? They take that percentage. Review your credit reports annually. Now that is important because sometimes old things that shouldn't be on your credit pop up on your credit. Sometimes creditors have you mistaken for somebody else, a family member, and all of a sudden their problems are on your credit, and you need to be able to dispute that. The fourth thing you could do is avoid opening too many accounts. If you know your credit score is under 600, stop applying for credit. Because one or two things going to happen. One, you're going to get denied, or two, you're going to have such bad credit terms that almost you're going to be paying double for what you're paying for. And then last but not least, and this is once you establish your credit and everything, have a good mix of credit. Have, store cards, credit cards, keep a long credit history. That's maybe 5% of your credit score. It's really not that big, but once you achieve the other four, that one automatically falls into place. Remember, and I've had people tell me, like, isn't credit debt? Credit is not debt. It's not about debt. It's about discipline. And the main thing that is so important is that you protect your credit like you protect your name. You do not, I say this every time, then I meet somebody who do it. You do not allow someone to use your credit. That's like letting somebody sleep in your bed. You don't get an apartment in your name for a relative. You don't co-sign on a vehicle to help them get a car, because guess what? Really, that car, if you have to co-sign on it, they're really going off of your credit. They're saying that the person whose name is on can't even get a vehicle. That car is really yours. You do not use your credit for other people, because that, I guarantee you, 8 times out of 10, that will come back and haunt you. Protect your credit like you protect your name. Now, the fourth foundation in the financial blueprint is how to use debt or a smart debt strategy. Debt is inevitable, but if you decide to build with it and not get buried under it, you will control it. See, when you use debt to create, it becomes a tool. But if you use it to consume, it becomes a leash and a chain. And the difference in those two analogies is the purpose. Debt can be a ladder or a leash. It really depends on you. Most people don't drown in debt because they borrow too much. They drown in debt because they borrow without a plan. So, they're like, so let me give you an idea of what I'm talking about. You go and get a loan to pay off, to catch up your rent. Let's just say that. So you get a $1,500 loan to pay your rent. Why you need it? We're not even going to go there. But you get a $1,500 loan to pay your rent. What happens next month? Now you got to pay your rent, plus you got to pay on this $1,500 loan. You just created another bill to take care of something that's going to come right back again. That's because you didn't have a plan. See, debt, if used right, can build your future. But when it's used wrong, it buries your freedom. The difference isn't about the amount of money, it's about direction. You have to learn how to leverage debt. Good debt has a purpose. So what I'm talking about, when you use debt to finance a business that you're going to work, when you use debt to finance your education, when you use debt to buy a home, that's good debt. What's bad debt? High interest credit cards, payday loans, title loans. You see where I'm going with this? Remember, disciplined debt turns what you use into leverage. But if you're undisciplined with the debt, it creates a bondage. You become tied and buried under it. But the discipline, that if you use it, creates freedom. When debt serves your when debt serves your purpose, it becomes power. When it serves your impulses, it turns into a prison. So before you borrow any amount of money, ask yourself this question: is it building me or is it binding me? And then you make the right decision. The fifth pillar in your financial blueprint is your growth engine. So what are we talking about? Your growth engine, your ability to activate what you own already to turn around and make money for you. Your growth engine is how you expand your financial capacity, developing new income streams, building skills, investing in assets that work and build while you are sleeping. If you ever catch yourself trading time for money, that's not wise. You want to trade skill for money. Why? Time is limited. If you find yourself trading physical ability for money, you're only strong so long. You can only work 12 hours a day so long. Do you see where I'm going at with this? Every time I talk to people, I ask, do you want more money? Just a general question. Everybody wants more money. But here's the caveat: few people ever ask, what is my money doing when I'm not doing anything? How do I make my money work for me? See, wealth isn't built by how hard you work, it's built by how your assets work for you. And that's something that you've got to understand. Turn around eventually and make your money your employee. Find a way that your money work for you. Anybody can have possessions. It ain't hard to get. That's not power. Power is when what you own starts producing money for you. Then that's ownership that turns into freedom. This is what they call the discipline of multiplication. When what you have starts making more. When you have $1 that's working, that made $2, then your two makes four, compound. And how do you do that? You create systems that earn while you sleep, investing, having a business. You know, let's say you have a snow cone business, just something simple. And everybody in the neighborhood likes your snow cones. While you close down for that night, a person that bought three of your snow cones, you know what they're doing? Telling everybody else in the neighborhood, oh, you got to go over here and get these snow cones. You see what I'm saying? What you done here, you're not even working anymore, but people are planning to come and patronize your business the next day. That's what I'm talking about. Having a skill and allowing your skill to make money for you. You're not open, but people are planning to come spend money with you. That's what I'm talking about making your money your employee, making you building a skill that when you are not working or when you're out spending money, money is being made for you. Don't just work for wealth. Build a growth engine that works for you so you can enjoy it while it's still being made. Because when you trade time for wealth, when you clock out, you're no longer making any money. When you trade ability for money or wealth, the minute your hands stop moving, you stop making money. But see that skill earns when you sleep, that skill earns while you on vacation, the skill will earn. So, how do you build your growth engine? First thing, let's talk about your number one asset, which is yourself. Invest in your skills. The best investment you will ever make is investing in yourself. Before you chase the bag, Lord, that term is so cool. Be the person that can hold the bag. Learn, obtain certification, take courses, learn a new skill because money can run out, but your ability and your competence never will. Every book you read, every class you take, every time you practice your craft, you are stacking on your foundation. Stop waiting for someone to give you value and become so valuable that no one can ignore your ability anymore. Next thing you can do to build your growth engine is set clear growth goals. If you can't measure it, then you will never manage it. Don't say I just want to make more money. Any client come in, you make 50 cents more an hour, you're making more money. Say I want to increase my income by 10%. Make that a goal. Write that down, make it a goal. Or tell yourself, hey, I want to master a new skill every year. That's how winners move. They move because they have specific, measurable, intentional goals. Every week, you should be saying to yourself, how did I get 1% better? What did I do today that's going to make me better tomorrow? Understand this. Goals that are not documented are wishes. See, when you document your goal, that's a promise to your future self, a promise that says, I will not stay where I started. The third way you can build your growth engine is to network intentionally. I talk to people throughout my travels, and one of the things they say is, I don't have no friends. I don't really have nobody I talk to. Well, my question is, if you're not financially strong yourself and you don't invest talking to people who are financially strong, how do you plan on getting better? Understand this. Opportunity doesn't just knock, it travels through people. So be around folks who stretch your thinking, who challenge your habits when they're not right, and people who model the results that you want. You can't grow in circles that celebrate mediocrity. Be intentional about who you are, who you learn from, and who you spend time with. Remember this: the right conversation can change everything in your life. It can shift how you think, it can shift how you move, and how you manage your money, because sometimes all it takes is one conversation to change your income, your mindset, and your life. Remember, when it comes to your circle, and I'm gonna keep this is gonna be something I always say. You have to be intentional and you have to be disciplined. And you have to start having these kind of conversations that will make your future richer. You hang around poor people, you're going to be poor. Just simple and plain. So let me say this to wrap this up about your financial house. Don't just talk about wealth, learn a way to build it. Don't just want success, find a way to prepare for it. Every action that you take today is a brick in the house called freedom, your financial house. You owe it to your family, those who depend on you, those who will depend on you, and those who have taken the time to pour into you. You owe it to your future self to show up, skill up, and level up today. Stop waiting for someone to hand you an opportunity. No one is coming. No one is going to save you. It's either you do it or you stay poor and you suffer. That's the only two choices. Who do you want to be? Where do you want to see yourself? And what do you want to do for your family? Ask yourself that question. And you will start making the right decisions to become financially sustainable. So let me take a break and take a pause for the cause. If you know someone who is not financially straight and who is seeking help, share this with them. Or take what you heard from me and you and them can talk about it. Let a person know that we need to start having these conversations to hold each other accountable. If you can't find a person to be accountable to, then how about you turn around and be the person somebody else can be accountable to? Financial sustainability doesn't just come out of me. It just doesn't come out of anywhere. It's an intentional decision that I want to be better tomorrow than I am today financially. And there are people who want that. So share with them. If you know somebody who may need this, let them know about my podcast. All else fails, you can come and talk to me and tell me about your financial journey, and I'll be your accountability partner. Because in turn, I'm gonna take you I'm gonna have you be mine. We all grow together. There is no if I have it, you can't have it. I don't know where that ideology come from, but there's enough food on this table that everybody can have some and be full. So if you want to share it with me, by all means, you can reach me at Terrence, Terrence, at consciouscoinpodcast.com, or you can reach me at tjones at paladintax.com, and that's paladintax.com. Send me your thoughts. Send me what you think. Send me what you think about this podcast. If you want an accountability partner, hey, tell me what your goals are, and I'll share with you some of mine, and we can go back and forth and hold each other accountable to make sure that we both get to that point where we want to be. So, with that being said, we done talked about the foundations. We talked about structure. The 5 foundations of financial sustainability. We talked about the cash flow. We talked about emergency savings. We talked about your credit score. We talked about using debt. we talked about your growth engine. Those are blueprints. That's the framework that shows you how to build. But no structure, no strategy, and no spreadsheet means anything if the person standing behind it refuses to be accountable for the actions that need to be done to build it. Again, sustainability isn't just built on systems, it's built on self-discipline. It's not just about knowing the numbers, it's about owning the decisions that will build the numbers. See, you can have every foundation in place, but if you won't hold yourself accountable for how you use them, then what are you doing? You'll just end up standing on shaky ground that's going to collapse as soon as something happens. Accountability is the bridge between what you know and how you use it. It's what separates the dreamers from the doers. It's the difference between understanding wealth and then you actually walking into it. See, it's real easy to say, I want financial freedom. You show me somebody who won't say that. But it's harder to admit, it's harder to look in the mirror and say, I'm the one holding myself back. But that's the honesty you're going to need. And that's where the transformation begins. So if the 5 foundations show you the architecture of how to build, personal accountability is a cornerstone that keeps the whole structure from collapsing. See, without it, everything you're going to build is temporary. With accountability, everything you touch will last. So before we delve into this, I need you to ask yourself something. Am I just learning this information or am I ready to live it? Because sustainability isn't about what you know, it's about what you do when nobody's watching. So let's shift gears here, and we're going to talk about personal accountability. The mindset that transforms information into impact, that turns financial structure into freedom. So when we talk about accountability, we're going to talk about 3 aspects of it. We're going to talk about the mindset, we're going to talk about the behavior, and we're going to talk about the consistency. Think about it like this, because accountability it's not a checklist of things that you do. It's the mirror that reflects the mindset, what you believe, the behavior, how you actually move, and the consistency, how long you willing to stay in the game to achieve what you want to achieve. So the first one we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the mindset. Owning your inner language. Mindset is where the accountability part begins. It's the voice before the choice. It's when you create that excuse. They say, "Oh, if I go out to eat lunch, even though I brought a lunch to work, but I'm gonna go out and eat because I don't want everybody to think that I don't have no money." It's the voice before the choice. It's the story you tell yourself before you ever even touch your wallet. You know, a lot of people underestimate the power of their inner voice. They believe that's harmless. Oh, that don't do nothing. I'm better than that. But the truth is, your dialogue, what you say to yourself, is the architect of your perception. And if that voice in your head is full of excuses, if it's always telling you, I can't do this, I can't afford this, then guess what? That becomes your framework you live inside of. You can't do this. No, I can't do that. Why can't you? I don't know. You've heard a person say that. See, you start to act as though your limitations are facts, when really they're just habit of thoughts that have gone unchallenged. Accountability of the mind means checking that voice. Not that you can't do it. Why can't I do it? Accountability begins not with action, but with attention. What are you trying to do? What do you want to do? And how do you attain it? See, what you're paying attention to. Are you watching your excuses? Are you watching your effort? because what you focus on multiplies. When you consistently rehearse failures, you wire your brain for defeat. But when you decide to take responsibility for your inner language, you begin to transform chaos into order from the inside out. This is why I tell my friends, I tell my clients, I even tell my grandkids, be very careful how you speak to people and be very careful how you speak to yourself. Understand this. If you treat yourself like trash, you're going to start living like trash. Treat yourself like someone you're responsible for helping. You'll begin to make decisions that honor the potential rather than your pain. Accountability of the mind is not about being perfect, it's about progress. It's about noticing when you're lying to yourself and saying things like, oh, I'll start next week. Oh, I'll pick it up this time. Oh, I deserve this. I've worked hard. Those are convenient delusions. And every time you believe them, what you're actually doing when you spend money you're not supposed to spend and you try to justify it, you are trading your long term structure for immediate comfort. Now, let me say this, this isn't easy. Easier said than done? Yes, it is. I can talk to my head fall off telling you about this. It is not easy. But self deception, lying to yourself, oh, that's comfortable. It allows you to stay exactly where you are and still feel justified in your nonsense. See, growth demands discomfort. It demands that you confront the part of you that you rather hide behind. And that confrontation begins up here with that quiet, subtle voice that either builds you or is going to betray you. Understand this, the human mind has a remarkable ability to negotiate against itself. So, what are you talking about, T? What are you talking about? When you got up this morning, you was like, you know what? I'm going to the gym today. After I get off work, I'm going to the gym. You driving home from work, what happens? Man, it's going to be hot when you get home, and then you're going to be hungry, and you got to do this and you got to do that. If you know what I'm talking about, let me know in the chat. But you know exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, you know what? I'm going to start tomorrow. That lie you tell yourself. Your mind has literally bargained its way out of doing what you told yourself you was going to do that morning. See, that's the battle of order versus chaos. And guess what? You're the battleground. So you have to become the kind of person who interrupts their own excuses. The minute you catch yourself, oh, you know what? I got to do this and this when I get home. No, you don't. You're going to do what you said you were going to do this morning, which is go to that gym. You have to say, I choose order over my impulses. I choose structure over my chaos. Life is complex and it's unpredictable. But accountability of the mind is saying, I can't control everything, but I can control how I interpret it. That's the first form of freedom, the ability to govern your perception. And see, when you take control of your perception, your thoughts, your behavior starts to follow. You stop reacting emotionally. You stop blaming circumstances and you start acting intentionally. When you start thinking like a builder instead of a victim, you begin constructing meaning rather than collecting excuses. And meaning, I'm going to tell you this, meaning, that's the what that sustains you when motivation fails. You ever heard that saying, you need a why that will make you cry? That's what they're talking about. You have to have meaning. It is what allows you to endure the chaos of life without collapsing into it. You have to be able, when life knocks you down, and life will knock you down, don't care who you are, there has to be something beside you because you will quit on yourself. Because again, what did I say earlier? Your mind will find a way to negotiate against you just so it can stay comfortable. I got knocked down, but it's comfortable on this floor. You will quit on yourself. But you know who you won't quit on? Your children. You know who you won't quit on? Your parents. You know who you won't quit on or you shouldn't quit on? Your spouse. Your why of what you're going to go through, because you're going to go through something, your why has to be strong enough to pick you back up when you fall down. Okay. So now let's move from thought because we didn't kind of ran that in the ground, and let's get to the action from internal to external, and we're going to discuss your behavior. See, your behavior is where your beliefs meet the real world. It's where your mindset and all that inner work, getting your mind together. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. The self-talk. Now it gets tested. Know this: knowledge without action is just entertainment. That's all it is. You can say you value discipline, but if your actions are lazy, your life will reflect that, not your intentions. Because behavior tells the truth even when your words don't. I talk to many people. I want to be successful. I want to be successful. But then when you actually watch them, everything they do say otherwise. They talk about having goals, but they wake up at noon every day. They want structure, never even talk about a plan. They want financial freedom, but they out here going out eating every day, spending $20, $30 a day on a meal, chasing comfort instead of progress. That's the contradiction, and that's where the lack of accountability lives. You cannot think your way into discipline. You have to act your way into your alignment, which leads to discipline. And I'm going to say this again. It's not about being perfect. You're going to fail on your way to being disciplined. You're going to miss one payment on something. Fine. Learn from it, adjust, move on. You're going to overspend 1 month. Fine. Learn from it, adjust, move on. But what you don't do is hide behind justifications. The moment, I can't stop saying this. The moment you rationalize chaos, you've chose to protect your weakness instead of strengthening your will. And that's when chaos wins. See, order doesn't come from grand gestures. It's built through small corrections made consistently. You look at your budget, not to punish yourself, but to say, what have I done? You track your spending, not because you just, you fuss at yourself, because you refuse to live blind about your money. That's behavioral accountability. Doing the hard, boring, necessary things that signal I am serious about my future. And understand this: if your actions aren't aligned with your values, you don't have goals, you have wishes. And wishes without discipline turn into resentment. That's where you see the haters. That's right. Because those start envying people who work while they played and waited. That's the ones that hate you not because who you are, because you have what they can achieve. Don't do that to yourself. Admire structure and live in chaos. Structure your life today through your behavior. And structured behavior, believe it or not, is contagious and it reinforces itself. See, when you start doing it, you create a habit of doing it. Every small act of discipline becomes a proof point that your future is worth protecting. And that creates the feedback. Believe you could do it, you start, you get evidence of the success. Now you're confident you can do it. And again, then you believe you can do it, you start acting on it, evidence that it can be done. Now you're confident you can do it. Stop talking about wait until you feel ready. You will never feel ready because ready is not a feeling. You act until you earn readiness. You have to earn readiness through confidence. I remember when I first started playing football, I didn't know what I was doing. Hey, some of us even put our shoulder pads on backwards. We didn't know what we was doing. We was not ready. But through daily practices, every day, 2 times on Saturday, we earned readiness through confidence. By my second year, heck, I was ready to get on the field and crack some heads. And that's the same way when it comes about your money. If you continuously do it, you will earn the right to be ready because you will have the confidence that you know what you're doing. So again, remember, accountability isn't found in words, it's forged in actions. And every disciplined decision is a declaration that says, I am not a victim of my habits anymore. I am an author of my outcomes. Because behavior is belief in motion. And if you move with integrity and financial responsibility long enough, the world, the universe will have no choice but to respond to you in kind. Remember, action is where belief meets proof. It's where your intentions either die or come alive. Now, we talked about the mindset, we talked about the behavior. Now, we need to talk about its consistency. That's the part that people don't get to see. It's not glamorous, it's not exciting, but it's the single greatest predictor of transformation. Because anyone can act with intensity for a day, but very few can act with integrity for a decade. Consistency is the quiet language of your character. It's what you do when enthusiasm fades, when no one is clapping, when the results are still invisible. It's when you go to the gym every morning at 5 a.m. before going to work. It's when you put $1 away every day. Nobody's watching you. Nobody's going to cheer you for doing that, but it's what you do. Most people misunderstand financial success. They think it's built on big moments. Ooh, I got a promotion. Ooh, yeah, cheer for me. I got a raise. I got a high paying job. Truth is, success is nothing more than disciplined repetition. Perform long enough that it looks like natural ability. So, what am I talking about? I'm going to draw a parallel for you. Steph Curry. Steph Curry, I forgot what year it was, made 402 three-point shots in an NBA season, and that was the record. Do you know that Steph Curry practices and shoots 500 shots a day? That's 3,500 shots a week, over 100,000 shots a year. He practices so he can make 402 in a season, and that's the high point. Somewhere in the 300s is what he make on average. He practices shooting more than he makes in a season, but he does it so much that to the average person, it's just it's natural ability. When he misses a three, we get surprised, like, wow, he missed that. The man shoots the three, turns his back, and counts it before it even touches the rim. But he does it so much, it looks like natural ability. That's the kind of practice that we're talking about. That's the kind of consistency that we're talking about. Remember, consistency isn't about perfection. It's about practice. And every action that you take is a vote for the person you wish to become. So the question is, are you voting for your chaos or are you voting for your order? It's the ability to begin again, even after you've fallen short. If he's made 402, how many has he missed? But he keeps shooting. because failure isn't final, but quitting is. See, when you overspend a day, you don't collapse and fall into guilt. You correct, you recalibrate, and you return. And here's the funny thing about life in general, especially with your finances. The things that change your life, the things that you think are big that change your life, doesn't even feel like life changing actions in that moment. So when we're talking about money, just tracking your expenses, when you know where your money is going, you can say, you know what? I didn't know I was paying that. I'm not going to do that no more. You'd be surprised what that extra $20 a month does for your bank account. Writing down your financial goals, choosing to save rather than spend. You didn't have a parade because you decided to save money then spend it, but you'd be surprised at the end of the year when you stop going out at $20 a pop every day at work and you look at your bank account, you're like, where all that money come from? Small acts of consistent discipline done over and over again accumulates like interest. That's the compound effect of consistency that people do not realize. Tiny truths multiplied through time. Every time you follow through, you strengthen your internal contract between yourself, who you are, and who you want to become. That's why consistency matters. It builds credibility within your own soul. The goal isn't to never fall. The goal is to be someone who doesn't stay falling. Every repetition is a practice for mastery. And mastery is what turns your discipline into freedom. Over time, financial success that felt impossible to achieve finally becomes inevitable because you stayed in the game long enough for the process to pay you back. Consistency is what converts potential into progress. It's how you transform your effort into evidence. Without consistency, the best mindset, the strongest behavior, collapse under pressure. So take this part seriously. Your consistency isn't about motivation. It's about meaning. It's about you show up even when you don't feel like it, speak truth to yourself even when it hurts, and do what you said you would even when no one else ever even notices it. Greatness is built in consistency. So keep practicing, stay the course, be consistent in every action that you do. Your future self deserves your discipline. And if you keep saying that long enough, your life is going to start to agree with you. So we return to the essence of accountability. We're going to wrap this up. Your mindset sets the direction. Your behavior creates the movement. Your consistency determines the destination. And that's the hierarchy of order. That's how chaos becomes structure. You see, you don't change your financial life in a one grand motion. You don't win the lottery and all of a sudden your life changes. You change in the small, deliberate, repetitious steps of financial success. You build new habits by confronting your old ones. And that's the real work. To live in alignment with what you know is right. And not because it's easy, because it is necessary. It's necessary for your confidence. It's necessary for your freedom. It is necessary for the kind of peace that can't be purchased, only earned. Every time you hold yourself accountable, when you think before reacting, when you spend with intent instead of impulse, you are bringing order to your existence. And when the world, your family, your children, your circle of influence. They desperately need that person who can hold themselves steady when everything else is going wild. So don't be the person that chases motivation, build meaning. Don't talk about discipline, embody it. Because every time you honor your word to your financial self, you strengthen your financial identity. And that identity becomes the foundation that nothing can take from you. So take your next step today, not tomorrow, not when it's convenient, now. Because the moment you decide to live with structure, you start to build a future that can withstand life when life starts lifing. When you start to build a future, a financially sustainable future, when you know how to manage money, you have learned how to manage yourself. So before I let you go, I need you to hear me clearly before we end this podcast. This right here isn't about money, it's about maturity. Financial sustainability is not about chasing a check, it's about chasing character. It's about becoming the kind of person who can handle what they say they want. You see, you get your finances in order, you're not just balancing a budget, you're balancing your belief in yourself. You're saying, I'm disciplined enough to delay gratification. I'm wise enough to see the long game, and I'm responsible enough to lead my life like it matters. Because believe it or not, it does. It does to people you never even realize. Every dollar you waste is a seed you never plant, and every seed you don't plant is a harvest that you will never see. So yeah, we talked about the five foundations, right? We talked about cash flow clarity, liquidity, your credit score, debt habits, growth engines. But all that means nothing if you don't own your part. Don't blame your job. Don't blame inflation. Don't blame your past. Own it, because the same discipline that can rebuild your credit can rebuild your confidence. The same awareness that fixes your budget can fix your mindset. I'm telling you, this is not about perfection. It's about progress. You don't need to be rich to finally be responsible. You don't need six figures to start acting like a CEO. You just need to decide that right now that you will no longer live reactive, but you will live responsible. Personal accountability is real wealth. It's the moment you stop pointing fingers and start building foundations. It's when you stop saying, I'll try, and start saying, I will. Because when you take responsibility for your money, you take responsibility for your life. So this week, I don't want you to just listen to this podcast. I want you to live it. I want you to schedule that money meeting. I want you to review your budget. I want you to move $20 into your savings. Pay that bill on time. Start the habit that your future self will thank you for, because your family, your kids, and your legacy is watching. And when life hits, because it will, you'll be able to stand, not because you had luck, but because you built structure. Not because you prayed for opportunity, but because you prepared for it. That is what financial growth is about. It's based on personal accountability. And that's how you become free at last. So don't just want wealth, work for it. Don't just pray for success, plan for it. Don't just dream about discipline, live it. Every disciplined decision you make today is a brick in the house called freedom. And it's time you built your house as if your name was on it. Remember, wealth will grow where discipline lives. This is the Conscious Coin Podcast. I'm your financial BFF, T. Jones, reminding you, whether it's your thoughts, your actions, or your wallet, make it make sense. Thank you for spending your afternoon, your evening with me. and look forward again to my next episode. You have a wonderful evening.